HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s wife, Cheryl Hines, appeared on The View yesterday to try to plug her upcoming memoir. But the host decided to use her visit to criticize her husband and the Maha movement. Cheryl Hines refused to let the attacks slide.
But the problem, respectfully, is that your husband is the least qualified Department of Health and Human Services head that we've had in history. I think that's a very dangerous.
Why is he less qualified than an economist?
I think that he is less qualified.
He has spent his career studying toxins, studying people's health.
He has also spread a lot of misinformation, a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion, and I think it's just a very dangerous thing. I say it with the utmost respect.
Some of it's good, and some of it's not. That's the point.
Listen, we all have different views here.
Yes.
And when you say, misinformation, disinformation, we could go back to COVID when...
He's connecting circumcision to autism.
May I finish?
Please.
When Fauci people were saying when you get the vaccine, you cannot transmit COVID. It will stop COVID. And that was disinformation, misinformation.
We were also still learning about it. It was a novel virus we've never encountered.
She had to remind the people of The View that the name of the show is The View because people have different views. Oh, my goodness. The View's Joy Behar thinks Republicans are afraid to come on her show.
I think that we should have more Republicans on the show, but they don't want to come on. They're scared of us. It's like Marjorie Taylor Greene says that she finds the Republican men afraid of powerful women. Well, that may be true of all the political persuasions. But if they would come on this show and they can explain to us what they're trying to do to this country.
Todd.
Harris, I vow to never forget the name of this show. I am clearly outnumbered, and I know it. And I'm not going to do anything to do anything to. But okay, so they want more Democrats. This from the news division of ABC, where your lead political anchor just cut off the vice president of the United States. So when we see that, we're supposed to assume that the paragons of journalism over there at The View are going to treat a run-of-the-mill Republican better? Why would a Republican go on there if they are not going to be able ever to make their points without being jumped on by all four of them, not just George Stephanopoulos? And my other follow-up on the specific media angle point, do they vow to treat Democrats the same, ask them the tough questions? Because remember, they gave Kamala the softest of softball interviews prior to the election, and she failed that. And some think that that cost her the election. Would you do anything different with Joe? We all know that infamous question. So no, until they clean up their act and operate in a fashion. I mean, I watch you interview Democrats all the time.
I've been on that show and have faced the raptor cage.
But I see you interview Democrats all the time, and you allow them to make their point. You're not attacking them. You're not cutting them off. If they do the same thing, maybe Republicans can go on. But until then, absolutely not.
Emily.
Yeah, I was struck by the grace of Cheryl Hines, who was on there to promote and discuss her memoir, to be faced with questions about her husband. I thought she took it very well and had an articulate and important substantive answer that the rest of the hosts couldn't respond to. There was no response when she said, well, what about this disinformation? What about this misinformation? And I thought her point also, I think there's a lot of barbs slung from that show that aren't based on facts or statistics. And one of them being the qualifications of our Health and Human Services Secretary. And I thought, Cheryl did this great job of saying, well, what makes him less qualified than an economist? I think what we're seeing here is people who rotely support the structure as it's always been. Well, because we've always had an economist. Or is it simply that those people voiced concepts that you rotely believe in because you don't dare to ask questions? I think that the radical nature of this administration is simply that they didn't take what was fed them from a prior administration, and this is how it's always done. And we are better for it, and healthier for it, and freer for it. And I hope that Ms. Cheryl Hines is better for her interview, too, and I hope she sells lots of books.
You know what I love about what you're saying, Emily? You're pointing out the fact that she was ready for the interview. I don't know that I'd ever thought that much about how Cheryl Hines votes or what her politics are or anything. She's just really talented as an actress and very funny. But she came with the 90% of secretaries were not in the medical field. Like, she was really ready for that moment, Kennedy.
Yeah, but this shouldn't be about her husband. I mean, I think that's overtly sexist. Also, if her husband were still philosophically not aligned with Trump and running against him, then Sonny Hostin would have been like, oh my God, tell me more about circumcision. You're absolutely right. Trump hates it. He hates when you say that there's a link between Tylenol and circumcision and autism. Oh my God, we totally believe that here because we hate Trump. Like, that's what they would have done. It's because her husband is in this administration. And she was a Democrat for a long time. She was a full-throated Democrat. And, you know, she said she went from being an independent to a Democrat back to being an independent. And they could have asked her about the things in his movement. If they have to focus on her husband, then find the things in the MAHA movement that you think are important. Like, you know, the chronic disease and obesity that we have in this country that we didn't have 40 years ago. You know, those are very important intersections that The View could focus on and educate their audience. But they chose to be polemic and argumentative. And I think there are plenty of Republicans who would love to go on there and destroy them. I think they're the ones who are afraid of real debate. That's why they have Alyssa Farrett in the conservative seat, because she is weak and spineless.
Yeah, I mean, I read that President Trump even was commenting, she used to work for me, basically doesn't know who she is now.
This is your public service alert that every member of the cast of The View voted for Kamala Harris. So that's the perspective they're coming from. Every single last one voted for Kamala Harris to be president. So Cheryl Hines was walking into the lion's den when she went into The View. Also, public service reminder that The View had Dr. Anthony Fauci on. Had him on from what I just looked up briefly, I believe it was 2024. So where were the questions about COVID misinformation to Dr. Anthony Fauci? Dr. Anthony Fauci said, you don't need a mask. And then he admitted he was saying that to save it for healthcare personnel so that there wasn't a shortage. Then he said there was one mask that we needed. Then it was back to no mask if you're vaccinated. Then it was 2 masks. And then I remember he was asked in December of 2021, close to 2 years into COVID, think about this, 2 years in, he's asked, will we get to a point where we are not wearing masks on airplanes? I don't think so, he said. So if it were up to Dr. Fauci, we'd all be still masked on airplanes. He went on The View, and the Kamala Harris cast members refused to ask him about any of his misinformation to the degree they did with Cheryl Hines.
Well, but to your point, they voted for her.
Yeah.
Like, they were already in the can for her.
Imagine if she would have won. No hostages free.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.